The air inside the steel fist arena buzzed with energy, raw, electric, expectant. Cameras panned over rows of sweaty fans shouting and waving cardboard signs. High above the ring, lights glared like miniature suns, casting sharp, unforgiving light onto the square below. At the center, the canvas lay bare, stained from the earlier fights, waiting for the main event. Jace Craven stood in his corner, bouncing lightly on his feet, teeth clenched into a smirk. His knuckles cracked inside the white gloves that bore his nickname, White Lightning. Tattooed muscles flexed with each bounce as he soaked in the cheers. His record was perfect. Not just wins, * dominant star. He didn't just beat his opponents. He mocked them. Broke them. Men and women both. But lately, he'd found a special joy in humiliating women, especially black women. In his last press conference, he'd leaned into the mic and smiled. "You want equality? Step into the ring. I'll show you what equal looks like," with a broken nose and shattered pride. It made headlines. Not the good kind. But Jace didn't care. Controversy paid better than kindness. Tonight, the plan was simple. He challenged any woman anywhere to fight him. It was a publicity move, a calculated stunt. He expected to scare off real challengers and draw in someone desperate or delusional. Someone he'd humiliate quickly and get the knockout reel ready for social media. An easy payday. But then she showed up. Asha Daniels had walked into the arena earlier that day with a duffel bag over one shoulder, no entourage, no fanfare. Her outfit was basic, black track pants, a sleeveless top, braided hair pulled tight behind her. Her skin glistened under the fluorescent hallway lights, but her expression was still, almost unreadable. Not angry. Not excited. Just calm. Collected. The officials barely looked up from their clipboards when she signed the waiver. No media buzzed around her. A few laughed quietly behind their hands. One in turn whispered, "She's gonna die in there." She heard it. Didn't flinch. Now, just minutes before the fight, she stood alone in the dim locker room. Her wraps were already secured. Her gloves hung loose from her fingertips. She stared at the wall, breathing slow and deep, eyes locked on the reflection of her own shadow cast by the overhead bulb. There were no jitters. No fear. But behind her silence lived a storm. Years of being underestimated, overlooked, dismissed. All of it compressed into one precise, unwavering mission. A soft knock. A fight official poked his head in. 2 minutes. She nodded once. Picked up her gloves. Walked out. Back inside the arena, the announcer's voice roared over the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a very special exhibition match tonight. In the blue corner, standing 6 feet 1 inch, weighing 220 pounds, the undefeated, the untouchable, Jace White Lightning Craven." The crowd erupted. Jace raised both arms, fingers spread wide. He drank it in. He lived for it. And in the red corner, the announcer hesitated for half a beat, as if not sure what tone to take. "Making her steel fist debut, weighing 154 pounds, from Atlanta, Georgia, give it up for Asha Daniels." The cheers turned to murmurs. Some boos. Some laughter. Jace's smirk stretched wider. She stepped into the light. Her eyes scanned the arena once. No nerves. No tension in her shoulders. She stopped at her corner, ignoring the jeers. She looked across the ring, not at the crowd, not at the cameras, at Jace. Her gaze was direct, unblinking. He felt it like a challenge, not a threat. "Hey!" Jace called over the canvas. "You got insurance?" No reply. "You gonna cry when I lay you down, or scream first?" Still nothing. The ref called them to center ring. As they approached, Jace leaned in and whispered so only she could hear. "You ever wonder what concrete tastes like?" She looked up at him and said quietly, "You're about to find out." His grin faltered, just a hair. The ref explained the rules. Mather listened. The bell rang. First round. Jace didn't move right away. He wanted the moment to stretch. The cameras were live. He raised a gloved hand, flexed, and winked at the front row. Asha stood still. Then she shifted her stance, feet widening, shoulders lowering, gloves rising just slightly. Jace charged forward. Not a punch yet, just pressure. The crowd whooped. She didn't back up. He threw a light jab. A tester. She leaned, not stepped, just enough that his glove missed by inches. He blinked. Threw a second jab, faster. She ducked under it. No wasted motion. Okay, he muttered. So you've got head movement. Let's dance. He fired a quick combo, jab, cross, body hook. None connected. Asha slid like smoke. The crowd murmured again. Come on! He shouted, frustrated. Hit me! She didn't. She didn't need to. By the end of the round, he'd missed more punches than he'd landed all year. The bell rang. She turned her back to him and walked to her corner like she was on a stroll in the park. Jace spat on the canvas. Fluke, he told his coach. She's just running. But deep inside his chest, something unfamiliar began to bloom. Not fear. Doubt. And Asha? She sat quietly in her corner, breathing evenly. In the back of the arena, an old trainer leaned in toward his companion and whispered, She's not running. She's studying. And the storm was just beginning. The bell rang again, sharp and clear like a starter pistol, and Jace came out faster this time, fury beginning to tighten his movements. The smirk was gone from his face now, replaced by a scowl etched deep across his jaw. The cheers from the crowd still echoed, but the tone had shifted, less confident, more expectant. Like they weren't sure if they were watching a beatdown, or a beginning. He darted in with a textbook 1-2, meant to disrupt rhythm. Asha dipped, pivoted on her back foot, and slid just enough to let his glove cut air. Before he could reset, she tapped him, a quick jab, right on the cheekbone. Not hard. But deliberate. Surgical. He growled under his breath and lunged. This time she let him get closer. He threw a heavy right hook, full weight behind it. She stepped into it, not away, ducked under, and popped an uppercut straight into his diaphragm. Not flashy. Not loud. But placed with perfect, merciless accuracy. The breath in his lungs collapsed. He staggered. The crowd gasped. Jace backed up, breathing sharp through his nose, trying not to show the pain. She didn't follow. She stood in place. Measured. Balanced. Eyes never leaving his chest. He realized then, she wasn't reacting. She was reading him. Not his gloves. His posture. His tension. His timing. She knew him better than he knew himself. His pride kicked in. He roared forward. Hooks. Jabs. Crosses. A flurry meant to overwhelm. But every time he moved, she was gone. Just a whisper of cloth against air. A ghost. The third round came and went. He barely touched her. She landed 2 body shots and a clean left that caught his chin with a snap. In the fourth, he switched stances. Southpaw. A desperate trick to break her rhythm. She adjusted within seconds. He circled wide. She mirrored. He faked a right, then tried a spinning backhand. She slid in, not out, and hit him square in the ribs again. This time he grunted loud enough for the front rows to hear. The audience quieted. They weren't cheering anymore. They were watching. Processing. Whispers passed between them. Who was this woman? Why hadn't they heard of her before? Why was Craven, the showman, the killer, the pride of Steel Fist, getting embarrassed by someone who hadn't even cracked a smile since walking in? Jace heard the murmurs. And it ate at him. By round 5, frustration turned to rage. He stopped thinking. Stopped calculating. He started swinging. Wide, heavy punches that carved air like hatchets. He threw his weight behind each strike, hoping sheer force would clip her, drag her down, prove something, anything. But she never let him land. Every time he overcommit, she punished. Not hard. Not yet. A jab to the temple. A dig to the ribs. A slap-like straight punch that knocked the sweat clean off his face. Every hit carried intent, not to injure, but to remind him how little control he had left. The bell rang. He slumped onto the stool. His trainer pressed ice to his neck and didn't speak. "What's happening?" Jace asked, breathing ragged. "You're swinging too wide. You're chasing her." "I can't hit her," he barked, panic creeping in. "That's because you're not fighting her. You're chasing your ego." In the opposite corner, Asha stood. No stool. No breathing mask. Just deep, steady breaths. Calm. Serene. Her coach didn't speak because she didn't need words. She'd already seen everything she needed. Round 6. Jace rose slower. He kept his guard tighter now. Tried to walk her down, corner her, limit her escape routes. She obliged. Let herself move near the ropes. Let him close the distance. He saw it. Smelled blood. Finally, a corner. No space to dodge. No angle to slide away. He threw a monster right, aiming for her jaw. She ducked under, stepped through his reach, and turned. His back was to her now. Before he could twist around, her glove cracked against his ear. Then his side. Then his chin. 3 punches. Bang. 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 He spun off balance and hit the ropes. The arena howled. Not in joy. In shock. He was bleeding from his mouth now. A trickle of red running from the corner of his lips. He touched it and stared like he didn't believe it was real. Asha didn't press. She reset. Backed off. Let him come again. She was giving him the choice. To stand? Or to fall? He chose to stand. Barely. And she punished that too. Another body shot. This one made him hunch. He swung wildly. She ducked and hit his liver. He buckled. Tried to hold himself up. She stepped around him, fast and smooth, and landed a left hook right on the orbital. His head snapped sideways. He stumbled to the canvas. Not out cold, but disoriented. Dazed. The ref moved in. Counted. Jace clambered up at 8, refusing to quit. "Still think I don't belong here?" Asha asked for the first time. He blinked at her. Confused. Uncertain. She wasn't yelling. Wasn't mocking. Her voice was level. Controlled. She wasn't angry. She was finished waiting. In the crowd, silence spread like a wave. Even Jace's most loyal fans were beginning to realize this wasn't a stunt. This was a lesson. And they were watching a man unravel in real time. The bell rang. Jace collapsed into his corner, too tired to speak. Asha sat on the stool now, just for a moment. She closed her eyes. 6 rounds gone. She hadn't broken a sweat. And Jace? He was breaking into pieces. The crowd held its breath as round 7 approached. The arena hushed in anticipation, tension coiled tight in every seat, every stare. People weren't laughing anymore. They weren't mocking her. Something had shifted, undeniably, irreversibly. The woman they dismissed, the woman he chose for spectacle, now held the center of every gaze. Jace Craven sat hunched in his corner, gloves pressed to his thighs, head bowed, chest rising like a man trying to remember how to breathe. Across from him, Asha Daniels stood before the bell. No stool. No ice. No panic. Only poise. She didn't need a pep talk. She didn't need a plan. She was the plan. The bell rang, sharp and cold. Jace rose, legs heavy, eyes unfocused. He blinked like he was waking up from a dream, one that turned into a nightmare halfway through and now refused to end. He tried to circle left. His balance wobbled. Tried to feint a jab. Too slow. Asha stepped forward. Just one step. Jace flinched. He actually flinched. Gasps rippled through the crowd. That one moment exposed him more than any punch could. She saw it too. He wasn't just tired now. He was afraid. And she hadn't even started hurting him. He raised his gloves high, desperate to keep her out. But he couldn't control his breathing anymore. Mouth open, chin loose. His chest heaved like he was drowning. Asha didn't rush. She moved with the kind of rhythm that spoke of deep training, of hours spent in solitude with nothing but a bag and her thoughts. She watched every shift of his shoulder, every twitch of his feet. He tried another right hook, wild, unbalanced. She stepped inside it and hit him with a quick left to the body. His knees dipped. A right hook followed. Not hard. But it snapped his head sideways. The sweat flew in a clean arc, glistening in the lights. He stumbled back and hit the ropes. Hung there like wet laundry. But she didn't move in to finish. She backed off again. Inviting. Daring. The crowd started whispering her name. Not loud. Not chanted. But like reverence. Asha. Asha. He wiped at his mouth with his glove, then looked at her, dazed. What the hell are you? He muttered. She tilted her head. You picked me to be weak. Jace shook his head, more from instinct than understanding. She stepped in again. And this time, she let go. No more tap shots. No more patience. It wasn't rage. No, she didn't need that. It was precision now. A scalpel in motion. 1-2 to the chin. A quick pivot. Uppercut. Step through. Body shot. Left hook. Each punch like punctuation. Each one taking a piece of his pride, his posture, his myth. He tried to clinch, grab her, slow her down. She twisted out, reversed the pressure, and shoved him back. He stumbled again. The ropes caught him. And then came the hit. She threw a right cross, not massive, not dramatic, but timed perfectly, right between his gloves, square on the nose. His head snapped back. His legs buckled. And then, he dropped. Straight to his knees. Silence. The kind that grips the air and won't let go. The referee moved in, starting the count. 1. 2. Jace's hand pressed to the canvas. 3. 4. He tried to rise. His left leg trembled. 5. He staggered to 1 foot. 6. But his glove slipped on the sweat-streaked mat. 7. He barely caught himself from falling face first again. 8. He straightened. 9. Stood. Just barely. The ref looked him in the eyes. Held up 2 fingers. How many? Jace blinked. Swallowed blood. 2. The ref hesitated, then nodded and backed away. The fight continued. But it shouldn't have. Everyone knew it. Even Jace. She stepped forward, gloves loose now, dancing again. He raised his own out of habit, not hope. Call it, he whispered, too low for anyone but her to hear. But she didn't. Instead, she stepped in and whispered back. You made me stand here. Now you'll stay until I'm done. Then she peppered him with punches. Each one light. Each one clean. A left jab to the forehead. A body shot just below the ribs. Another jab. Another. A tap to the cheek. He wasn't even trying anymore. Just taking it. The arena was in awe. They were witnessing a dismantling. Not brutal. Elegant. A slow erasure of everything he claimed to be. By the end of the round, his arms hung limp. The bell rang. He collapsed onto the stool. His coach didn't speak. Just wiped his face and stared at him like a stranger. Jace looked up, bloody and bruised. She's not just some chick, man. No, his coach said quietly. She's a killer. And you called her. In the locker rooms, staff members were checking records now, searching her name. One finally shouted. Holy sh/*T, she's Asha Daniels from the Navy program. 2012 Olympic qualifier, she vanished after trials. Someone else pulled up grainy footage of her dismantling male sparring partners in underground circuits. Footwork like wind. Timing like a heartbeat. She was a phantom. Nobody wanted to fight her. Now she was here. And the world was watching. In the crowd, kids looked up at her like a hero. Women stared with pride and vengeance glowing in their eyes. Commentators whispered into headsets. She's not just winning. She's teaching. The final round loomed. Everyone leaned in. Would she finish him? Or let him collapse under his own weight? Either way, the message was clear. She didn't come to fight. She came to redefine the ring. The 8th round began with a kind of silence that didn't belong in a boxing arena. There were no chants now. No drunk fans yelling bets or slogans. Just the heavy, loaded hush of people witnessing something far greater than they expected, a reckoning. The lights above buzzed faintly, humming over the smell of sweat, blood, and regret. Jay stood barely. His chest rose and fell unevenly. One eye was nearly shut, the other bloodshot. His legs shook slightly beneath him, like columns eroded by time and truth. His gloves hung lower than they should have. His mouthguard was pink now from the constant drip of blood that had pooled inside it. Across from him, Asha was already in motion. She didn't explode forward. She didn't rush the finish like a hungry fighter seeking a highlight reel. No, her pace was deliberate, respectful even. Not of Jace, but of the moment. Because she knew this wasn't about just a knockout anymore. This was a mirror. And he was being forced to look into it. She fainted high. He flinched. Then she tapped his side again, just under the ribs where the bruising had started to blossom dark and deep. He let out a sound, short, sharp, involuntary. Pain turned vocal. Another jab. This one caught his temple. His knees wobbled. The crowd stood now. Everyone. No one sat anymore. Not because they wanted to cheer, but because they couldn't look away. Another jab. This one faster. Then a right hook. Not full power. Just enough to make him stumble back into the ropes like a man losing a war with gravity. He didn't fall. He refused to. But he wasn't standing out of strength. It was shame now. Desperation. Asha lowered her gloves for just a second. And said quietly, "You can go down. It's okay." Jace blinked at her, stunned. As if kindness was worse than any punch she could throw. "I don't need your pity." He spat through the blood. "I didn't offer any," she said. And then she hit him. A clean, vicious uppercut that launched his head skyward. His feet left the mat for a fraction of a second before he came crashing down like a marionette with its strings cut. Flat on his back. Arms wide. Eyes staring at the lights above, cold and white and blinding. The referee didn't even bother counting. He waved it off. It was over. A roar erupted, not a cheer, but a release. The tension that had held the arena hostage now exploded like a dam cracking open. Cameras flashed. Some fans screamed. Others just stood in silence, hands over their mouths. Jace Craven, the undefeated, the arrogant, the showman, was lying unconscious before thousands. Not from rage. Not from hatred. But from the hands of a woman he tried to humiliate. The medics rushed in. His team crowded him, shouting his name. But Asha didn't look back. She turned away from the downed man and walked to her corner where no one waited. She removed her gloves slowly, fingers stiff from the wraps. The announcer's voice broke through the chaos. "Ladies and gentlemen, by knockout, in the 8th round, the winner, Asha Daniels." The name echoed once, then again. And then the crowd took it from there. Asha. Asha. Asha, asterisk. The chant rolled through the rafters. She didn't smile. She didn't raise her arms. She simply bowed her head. Later, in the locker room, reporters swarmed the hallway outside. Her manager tried to shove through, shouting, "They want quotes. TV time. ESPN's calling. Everyone's calling." But Asha was already changing back into her track pants. Her duffel bag was zipped. Her hoodie pulled over her head. A young woman in a suit stepped in, holding a phone. "You've got 12 sponsorship offers already. 4 from major brands. You don't have to decide today, but..." "I'm not here for any of that," Asha said quietly. The woman blinked. "I don't understand." "What do you mean?" I came because someone needed to show him, Asha replied, tying her sneakers. That's done now. You're walking away? Asha looked up, steady and calm. I never came here to stay. Before anyone could argue, she was gone. Out the back exit. Into the night air. No cameras followed. But the world had already seen what it needed to see. By the next morning, the footage was everywhere. Clips of the knockdown slowed and replayed on every platform. But more than that, it was the transformation in public perception. The once invincible boxer now a cautionary tale. A symbol of unchecked arrogance undone by quiet precision. Jace issued a statement days later from the hospital. A photo showed his face swollen, bruised, eyes distant. His voice, in a shaky recording, tried to spin it. She got lucky. I wasn't at my best. Rematch coming. I'll fix it. But no one believed him. His sponsors didn't come back. His followers fell silent. The myth of invincibility had been shattered. And as for Asha? She didn't post. Didn't speak. Didn't appear at the post-fight pressers. She opened a gym in her old neighborhood. No banners. No trophies on the walls. Just gloves hanging by the door, and kids learning footwork on worn-out mats. And once a week, like clockwork, she held one class where the only rule was no talking. Just movement. Just rhythm. Just respect. And if you asked her why she fought, she'd say nothing. But the look in her eyes would tell you everything. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't glory. It was truth. And she delivered it clean, without hate, without mercy. Just like a proper fighter should. He invited her into the ring to humiliate her. She left it having dismantled not just his legacy, but the entire idea of who was allowed to belong. And when the lights dimmed and the crowd went home, only one thing remained. Her silence. More powerful than any roar.